What's up, movie lovers? I'm Mike, and this is Gotta Love Them Movies. Oh, you guys, you're back again. Tag team, back again. Party on, party people. Oh, let's begin. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, you are back for another installment of Gotta Love Them Movies. Thank you so much for joining us here today. Today, we don't have a lot of stuff to go over. I mean, I feel like this last weekend we've had a lot of things. Oh, did my audio cut out? Hold on. I think my audio. One second. This. Hold on 1 second. We're getting there. So just hang on. We're getting hold on 1 second. When the audio's is the audio back? Is the audio back? Are we back in? Have we plugged back in? Are we back again? Sorry about that, everybody. Sometimes the audio has a mind of its own. It does its own thing. Anyway, I think we're back. I think the audio's working. My apologies. Thank you for coming back to Gotta Love Them Movies. This is the online forum discussion site where we all just sit around and chit chat about our favorite things, movies and movie news. Like I was saying before the audio cut out, there's not a lot of things to discuss today. There's a couple of things that we'll touch on and go over, but just to give you guys a little rundown of how the show today is going to go. First of all, I'm going to tell you how to subscribe to the channel on YouTube. That's very important that we cover that, and I'll explain why later. Then we're going to hit on some movie news. Then gonna touch on a brand new topic that we're bringing out. You may be familiar with these types of segments, but it's going by a new name now. The new name is Review Wednesdays, where I'm going to review brand new films that just came out. Today's review is going to be of Project Power, a new Jamie Foxx and Joseph Gordon-Levitt show on Netflix. Just came out last week. Anyway, going to be talking about that. Then we're going to open up the Gotta Love Them Movies mailbag, and at the very end, take your live questions. So as you're watching this, go ahead and jump down to the comment section below and type in some questions, type in your thoughts. Let us know what you think about the subjects that we're covering and talking about today. Anyway, you guys, first up on the list is the Gotta Love Them Movies YouTube page. Very important. It's very easy. Just hop on over to Gotta Love Them Movies on YouTube. Click that red subscribe button. Doing so will help me build my subscriber base. Now, what happens when I build my subscriber base, you may ask? Well, when I hit 1,000 subscribers and when I hit 4,000 viewing hours as a total in a 12-month period, then I become eligible to start earning ad revenue on these YouTube videos. But Mike, we're watching this live on Facebook. Yes, I know. I understand that concept. All of the videos, everything that you're watching right now, that is going to be uploaded to YouTube, and so we start earning ad revenue, and most importantly, once we hit 1,000 subscribers, the show will be moving to YouTube in a permanent format. Anyway, you guys, very important. I really appreciate your help, your love, your support in this regard. Yeah, that's about it. So as promised before, let's head on over. Let's head on over and take a little bit of movie news.
What? What?
All right, we are gonna jump right into this. I don't know if you heard about this, but Sean Connery turns 90 this year. Sean Connery, James Bond himself, turning 90. This article comes to us from Variety, and in this particular article, they're talking about why Sean Connery was the greatest James Bond of them all. I'm not entirely sure how Sean Connery turning 90 is correlated to him being the greatest James Bond of all time, but let's while we're here, let's sit down and chit chat about it. The article goes on, it's talking about how influential Sean Connery was as James Bond and how he set the tone in the mood for the films to come. Of course, this particular movie poster for Goldfinger is saying that James Bond is back, breaking all-time box office records. And that is true. That is very true. what Sean Connery was able to do with the role of James Bond was truly revolutionary. I mean, yeah, I guess you could say, certain roles, certain characters within film had become very popular up until that time. 1962, of course, was when Sean Connery made his debut as James Bond in the film Dr. No. But, there weren't that many icons in cinema. There were a few, I would say Rhett Butler, Scarlett O'Hara from Gone with the Wind, pretty much the entire cast from The Wizard of Oz. There were a few roles, there were a few actors whose characters had gone on to become various icons throughout cinema. But James Bond, I would argue, Sean Connery as James Bond was one of those roles that kind of changed everything. Dr. No, the film Dr. No reinvented what a spy film was. It kind of invented the thriller genre, and a lot of that was due to Sean Connery's charisma, because up until this point, nobody had really heard of Sean Connery. His biggest role to date was Darby O'Gill in The Little People, put out by Disney. He was a small-time actor. Nobody knew who he was, and Cubby Broccoli and why am I thinking of his name? His business partner. His name is escaping me at the moment. They took a real big chance on an unknown. Stuff like that. I mean, yeah, it happened in Hollywood, but they wanted this to be like a really solid movie, and they needed a really solid actor to play James Bond. And, they took a big chance casting an unknown. And even Ian Fleming himself was not sold on Sean Connery playing James Bond. Ian Fleming was not okay with it. Anyway, Sean Connery as James Bond did become an icon, and it paved the way for other icons, for other genre of film to kind of rise to the level and be like the big pop culture phenomenon. Star Wars was, I would dare say, the biggest pop culture phenomenon until the Avengers. We have these landmarks throughout cinema that we can kind of point to and say, James Bond did this. Twilight Zone did this. Even though it was a film, it was a television show. But there are various cultural icons throughout pop culture that we can point to and say, this person did this project did that, yada, 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 yada. Seinfeld, yada, yada, yada. Like, there are very specific things. So Sean Connery as James Bond, was he the best? Before I give you my 2 cents, and trust me, I will give you my 2 cents, jump down to the comment section below and let me know if you think that Sean Connery as James Bond is your favorite James Bond. I'm very interested to know. I want to hear what your thoughts are. Just to list them in chronological order, we had Sean Connery, then we had George Lazenby, then we went back to Sean Connery for one film, Diamonds Are Forever, and then we went Roger Moore, and then Timothy Dalton, and then Pierce Brosnan, and now we have, of course, Daniel Craig. It is my personal opinion. Film is subjective, obviously. It is my personal opinion that Daniel Craig is the best James Bond that we've had so far. But Mike, you just explained Sean Connery did all this stuff and he paved the way. Yes, I mean his charisma most definitely lent itself to so much in the creation of the character. But a lot of the choices that Sean Connery made as an actor were large and apart from the director. And if I was a better show host, I would have had this pulled up already. Here we go. Sean Connery in the movie Dr. No. It was directed by Terrence Young. Terrence Young was, I would say, even more influential in creating the on-screen persona of James Bond than Sean Connery was. The most influential person, period, was the author of the books, Ian Fleming. He created the character. He was James Bond. In his mind, He wanted to be this super sexy spy. He wanted to be the one to go out and, save the day and get the girl. Like, that is who Ian Fleming wanted to be. When he sold the rights to the production company, All or Nothing, AON, All or Nothing. When he sold the movie rights to Aeon Productions with, Cubby Broccoli, and they hired Terrence Young, and they hired Sean Connery subsequently, he Ian Fleming, was not entirely sold on Sean Connery being James Bond. He didn't play the role the same way that he had imagined in his mind. He didn't play the role the same way that he had written in the books. And it's a shame. It really is a shame that Ian Fleming never got to live to see other incarnations of James Bond. He never even got to see George Lazenby play James Bond in 1969 in On Her Majesty's Secret Service. He never got to see he never even got to see Sean Connery come back. Unfortunately, there was a whole legal battle with another guy, Kevin Conroy. Kevin Conroy. Can you imagine the voice of Batman in the animated series having beef with Ian Fleming? No. Kevin McClory. Kevin McClory had this. I'm not going to go into all the details, but there were some film rights regarding the movie Thunderball, and ultimately Kevin McClory won. All of that upheaval, all of that upset, is ultimately what led. All that stress is what led to Ian Fleming's death. After he was awarded, I think it was like a few weeks or a few months later, Ian Fleming died. And it was after that the producers went ahead and made Thunderball with Kevin McClory, just to kind of appease him a little bit. We're getting way off topic. Before his death, Ian Fleming was ultimately won over by Sean Connery. And there is a huge argument to be made that Sean Connery is the best Bond. There is a huge argument to be made in that regard. I don't subscribe to that opinion. I feel like just because somebody creates a role doesn't mean that somebody else can't make that role better. I feel that, Sean Connery or Roger Moore, some people are Moore fans, some people are Connery fans, and both are fine, both are valid. And then, Timothy Dalton did some really cool things with James Bond. He made the role darker. He made Bond mean. It was the first time we'd actually seen like a mean Bond. Those films, they just came out at the wrong time, and, the Berlin Wall, and, the times are changing and everything. And it was just like the Bond that they were making could not be sustained. That's why they went to Pierce Brosnan. Pierce Brosnan kind of brought it back to a lighthearted, but contemporary Bond for the 90s. And then, the blonde Bond, Daniel Craig, I feel that he's the best portrayal. Now, a few shows ago, I went on this whole rant about Spectre and how much I hate the film, and I'm not really looking forward to No Time to Die. Obviously, I'm going to see it. I'm looking forward to see it. I wouldn't say I'm excited to see it, but I am looking forward to seeing it. But his portrayal as James Bond, I feel, is the best. Except for Spectre, because he totally phoned it in. He was tired. He was exhausted. But whatever. Daniel Craig brings to the role the energy, the charisma, the reality, the hardness, the brutality, some of the compassion. But then again, in the books, Bond didn't really have that much compassion. Anyway, let's go back to the article just for a second. We're not going to sit here and read through the whole thing. Let me pull it up here for you. But Sean Connery as James Bond, they make this argument that he paved the way. That if it wasn't for Sean Connery playing James Bond, yeah, right here. Sean Connery feted last night by UA at the Directors Guild screening of Dr. No, plus a feed at Chasen's, one of the producers on the film, was only a couple of years ago hitching rides in Hollywood Boulevard. That's showbiz. He returns to England with his wife. Diane, and their newborn after the Conaster starts another Ian Fleming film from Russia with Love. Yeah. So I mean, they go on to pour over Sean Connery and say, oh, he did this, and all. It's true. It's true. All of that is true. If it weren't for Sean Connery playing James Bond, a lot of this, a lot of what has to come would not be. It is my personal opinion. He created a great role, but other people have improved upon it. Some people have not improved upon it. Anyway, all film is subjective. I personally think that Daniel Craig is a better Bond than Sean Connery. What do you guys think? Jump on down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. Cool. So we're just going to move on to the next news story, and this is more of a puff piece. Even the Sean Connery piece, like that was a puff piece. But hey, it's movie news, so why not? Why not? Let's go ahead and cover it. Deadline is reporting that Tom Cruise. Oh, I should have had this ready. Tom Cruise went to the movies in London. Oh, look at that! Tom Cruise went to go see the movie Tenet. Isn't that adorable? Not only did he go to the movies, but he brought his film director, Christopher McQuarrie. They're currently making Mission Impossible 7 and Mission Impossible 8 at the same time around Europe. They're currently filming in England, just outside of Pinewood Studios, at another one of the studios there. But here, Tom Cruise actually has posted like a 30-second video on his Twitter. I'm just going to go ahead and play that for you guys. Let's check it out. If I can get this to... There we go. Okay. Yeah, let's check out Tom Cruise on his 30-second spin. All right, and that's it. It's just a quick 30-second spot of Tom Cruise going to the movies. It's light, it's silly, it's airy. It doesn't mean anything. But it is kind of nice to see that, in certain places, especially in London, like the movie theaters are back open in London. And here's Tom Cruise, he's being safe. He's got his mask on. I was even impressed with, because I watched this video a few times, and you can see in the theater, they are practicing social distancing, which warms my heart a lot. I am itching to get back to the theater. But one of the things that I am moderately concerned about is, just packing people in. If you watched the show yesterday, we talked a lot about, we spent a lot of time talking about like the cleaning procedures at AMC theaters, kind of what they're doing to minimize risk. You can't eliminate risk, but you can minimize it. And, the steps that they're taking, I very much agree with, except that, come Thanksgiving, they're planning to, pack houses. All the social distancing goes out the window. I'm not okay with that. But, for the here and now, for the time being, it is nice to see, hey, theaters are back open. People are going back to the movies. And of course, here, as evidenced by Tom Cruise himself, he is back to the movies with his writing partner and director, Christopher McQuarrie, on the new Mission Impossible films. So, that is kind of nice. It is a little endearing to see that. Like I said before, there's no substance to this news. Why am I reporting on it? I'll be honest, today is a light news day. I need something to talk about. So here we are. We're talking about Tom Cruise going back to the movies. So again, like, does this does this bring up any bigger topics? Do you like this? Does it hurt your heart a little bit that Tom Cruise? Do any of you think that Tom Cruise is being a little reckless? Is it possible that Tom Cruise is being reckless? Because that was a thought that went through my mind when I first watched the video. I was thinking, I don't know if it's good to have a celebrity promote going back to the movies in such a public forum. But, then again, they are practicing social distancing. He is wearing the mask. Christopher McQuarrie wearing the mask. He was wearing the mask in the taxi cab on the way, and people still recognized him. He was like, how does that happen? I was wearing a mask. Do you feel that it's reckless? Do you feel that it's responsible? Jump down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. All right, guys. We have, let's see. That's it. That's it for our movie news. That is it for our movies. Now, I told you today it was going to be a light news day. Anyway, guys, it is before we jump into the Gotta Love Them Movies mailbag. First, we have to jump into our day of the week special. Today being Review Wednesday. So here it is, Day of the Week special.
It stinks.
That is right, you guys. This is Review Wednesday's Day of the Week special. Gotta love them movie reviews. And a few hours ago, literally just a few hours ago, I sat down to watch the movie Project Power. This is a new movie on Netflix. I'm sure you've seen the ads for it. I mean, it was if you're watching the show, that means you are into movie news and entertainment. And if you're into movie news and entertainment, you're probably aware of new projects and things happening in the world. Project Power being one of them. I wasn't entirely interested in watching this film. Like, I saw the trailer and I was like, oh, okay, it's basically the movie Limitless with Bradley Cooper and Robert De Niro meets superhero stuff. That's essentially what the movie is. I will say it was not as good. I did not enjoy the movie as much as I liked Limitless. I feel like Limitless was a little bit more it was original because it was kind of the first one, right? This particular movie was very generic. They didn't infuse a lot of new thoughts, or really any new concepts to this particular film. A lot of it was paint by numbers. It was a paint by numbers action flick. It had the tone of Bright with Will Smith, another Netflix movie, which, shocker. I thought it was kind of funny that they had another Netflix television show Easter egg from Orange is the New Black. The young girl, can't think of her name. Hold on, let me bring it up real quick. Project Power. Okay. Stars Jamie Foxx, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and Dominique Fishback. So Dominique Fishback, she plays the character of Robin. She's maybe like a 16, 17-year-old girl, something like that. She's a drug dealer. What? But it's this new drug that it's like this small little pill. It looks like an electrical light bulb, like a really small electrical light bulb, and you twist it, you put it in your mouth, you swallow it, and it gives you an unknown superpower specific to you. So like if I take the pill, maybe I'll be super strong. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe I'll turn into water. Maybe I have control of electricity. Who knows? Like it could be a myriad of different powers. But if you take the pill, where's the camera lens? If you take the pill, yeah, I'll work on that. If you take the pill, you might have a very different power or reaction. So she somehow, the movie never explains how this girl, like the 16, 17-year-old girl, how she becomes a drug dealer. It never explains where she gets her supply from. We know, like, Jamie Foxx is a guy, who is looking for his daughter, and she's been kidnapped. And so he comes down to New Orleans, and he's looking for the people that took his daughter. Somehow he has a clue for to find this dude. His name is Newt. No idea how he got that clue, how he got that lead. I don't know. He just did. Never explained. And that's our introduction to Jamie Foxx's character. Oh, I'm looking for this guy named Newt. He shows up to Newt's house and they have a fight and blah, 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 whatever. Joseph Gordon-Levitt is a police officer he also is, I don't want to call him a drug addict, but he is a drug user specific to this power drug, this superhuman power drug. Apparently it's the only drug that he does or something. I don't know. Which actually kind of makes sense. If you're a police officer, every now and again, you're going to find yourself in a position of trouble where having a little bit of superpower might help you in a bad spot. And this movie kind of shows how that's the case. Oh, Joseph Gordon-Levitt found himself in a precarious situation. Let's pop a little Project Power and off you go. Let's, get the bad guy. Okay. Obviously, it can't be sanctioned by New Orleans PD, obviously. Portrayed by Courtney B. Vance, by the way. Okay. There is so much in the story of this movie that doesn't line up. Well, you know what? Let's just start going through all the different all the different aspects. First of all, let's talk about acting. The acting in this movie wasn't great. It wasn't terrible. It was passable. This is not Joseph Gordon-Levitt's finest work. In fact, I dare say that this is a paycheck for Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I also feel that this was a paycheck for Jamie Foxx and Courtney B. Vance that you saw for all of 3 minutes, 5 minutes maybe total. Yeah, you don't get anyone's best work here. Everything was fine, everything was passable, but it wasn't great. Who is it? Dominique Fishback, who plays Robin, I guess the main protagonist, I guess you could say, of the story. She actually did a good job. She probably turned in the best work, but then again, she also has the most to prove. Jamie Foxx has an established career. Joseph Gordon-Levitt has an established career. Nobody's ever heard of Dominique Fishback before. So she has something to prove. She did a pretty good job. She also, they have multiple scenes with her as a freestyle rapper. She does phenomenal work there. Obviously, she's not freestyling in the movie. Somebody else has written, the rhymes and the beats for her. She's just reciting it, but she plays it off really well. She was easily the best part of this movie, and she's the heart and soul of the movie. But the movie doesn't know that she's the heart and soul. The movie tries to set up Jamie Foxx and the relationship with his daughter as, oh, that's supposed to be the heart and soul, but you don't know where the daughter is. Where is she? Who knows? And inadvertently, it's the 16-year-old drug dealer girl, Robin, played by Dominique Fishback, who ends up being the heart and soul of the movie. And she does a fine job. Everybody else, and not just the main three, but, oh, man, there's a Latin woman from somewhere in South America. They don't ever say where she's from in South America. It's just a very generic, oh, you want to be the kingpin of South America? Here you go. And she's in cahoots with the bad guy. Her delivery is so bad, you guys. It is so bad. The villains have horrible delivery. The acting is not great. So all of that is to say, I'm going on a scale of 1 to 20. I'm going to rate their acting at a 9 out of 20. I did not think very highly of it. It wasn't the worst acting I've ever seen, but it was, for Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Jamie Foxx, they really could have elevated this movie to a really fun, charismatic spot. But they didn't. It was a paycheck. There was nothing interesting in anyone's acting choices, with the exception of Dominique Fishback. But, 9 out of 20, that's what I'm giving it. All right, so let's move on to directing. The directing of the film, everything was cookie cutter. I've seen all of this stuff before. The cinematography looked like it was pulled straight out of the movie Man on Fire, which was, what was that, 2004? So 16 years ago. and we're still using filming techniques from 16 years ago. There was nothing inventive. The action was not well choreographed, and they knew it. So they did like those shaky cams and quick cuts and zoom ins, and even like the direction that they give the actors. Everything is stoic. Everything is plain. This is a cookie cutter, low budget action film, which is trying to be a high budget action film, but you can just tell it's not. There's nothing interesting from a directing standpoint. All the technicals, I guess, like the explosions, the CGI, not great. Because they're people with, superpowers for 5 minutes. And then those superpowers, wear off. And they do this thing, like whenever Joseph Gordon-Levitt takes the superpower drug pill thing, they zoom in on his eyeball. And in fact, they do this with everybody. Anyone in the movie who takes this drug, they zoom in on the eyeball, and you get to see how the eyeball changes DNA or whatever, and like it changes and forms, and there's like this kind of feature that happens, within the skin and the eyeball and like the surrounding area across the board. It happens to everybody. And it becomes very uninteresting. If you do it to one person, okay, cool. You do it once, maybe twice, but they do it for every single person. So the choices in the shots, the choices in the editing, the choices in, pretty much everything. The lighting is pretty much the only thing that I would say was good. I was okay with how the movie was lit. Everything else, I don't know, it just didn't work for me. So in that regard, I mean, there was nothing that was like bad. It didn't like put me off. But I'm gonna put directing also at a 9. Acting's at a 9. Directing's at a 9. I didn't think that they did anything interesting or inventive with how the movie itself was made. Same thing with the storytelling. And speaking of the telling of the story, let's get into writing. So the writing of the movie. Again, this is a cookie cutter story. I feel like I've seen this story 1,000 times before. There's a new drug on the streets. Somebody is personally affected by it, but the cops need to stop the drug from being on the streets. And oh no, there's a helpless innocent that gets caught in the middle. And of course, she's not Robin. The Robin character is not exactly a helpless innocent. She's directly involved. But for intents and purposes of the story, she needs to be the heart and soul, or rather, by default, I guess she becomes the heart and soul of the film. Whew. Yeah, I did not care for the dialogue. Was not very good. There was nothing interesting. Everything was cookie cutter. There were a few different moments in the film where, so when Jamie Foxx, when his character, who knows what his character's name is? I have no idea. When Jamie Foxx's character meets the Robin character for the first time, he thinks that she has information about something. So he kidnaps her. I'm telling spoilers because I don't care. I don't think anybody out there is that emotionally involved in, oh, I really wanted to watch Project Power. Now you're going to ruin it for me. If you feel that way, stop watching. I don't care. Having said that, when Jamie Foxx's character meets the Robin character for the first time, he kidnaps her, puts her in the bed of his truck, and locks her in there. He threatens to hurt her. He never does. He comes off as a real hard character, like, you better watch out or I'm actually going to hurt you. And you believe that he is going to hurt her. And then over the course of maybe an hour, they become friends. Like, he abducts her, and then maybe, the whole movie takes place in, like, a day, if not a night. So he abducts her. The girl's mother has no idea where she is. That's a storyline that they never resolve. She just kind of comes home, and everything's like, oh, are you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. Well, great. Did you get me my soup? Da-da-da-da-da-da. Oh, there's another part. Joseph Gordon-Levitt is like, hey, I need more drugs for my drug dealer, this 16-year-old girl. Why is he getting his supply from a 16-year-old girl? I don't know. So, he's a cop. He's a cop, you guys. And I get it. Some cops make bad... But that's the thing, like, he's a cop that makes bad decisions, but he also is the good cop. So, like he's living in both worlds. He's living in both worlds. There's no consistency to any of these characters. Anyway, Joseph Gordon-Levitt is looking for Robin, and somehow he tracks her down. And then he starts interrogating her, like, what? Why were you with this guy? Tell me all about Jamie Foxx. He's a bad guy. But they never explain how Joseph Gordon-Levitt knew that those two were paired up. How did he know that they were together? There's very little explanation as to why anything happens in this movie. Things just do. And you just kind of have to accept that things happen. I don't want to say there's zero logic. There's minimal logic to why the characters do what they do. And it's a lot of it relies on that kind of old world thinking of, I'm the John Wayne, I'm the hero, I know what's best for everyone. And people just make bad choices and bad decisions, and they just run with it. And that's annoying to me because there's no driving force as to why anybody is doing what they're doing. You know, except for Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx is like, hey, I'm looking for my daughter. Like, I'm gonna, and he murders people. He murders people. And then at the end of the movie, once he saves the day and everything's predictable, you know exactly, like they set up the last act of the movie in the first 10 minutes. You know exactly how this movie is going to end. They set it up. So when it actually happens, there's no surprises. There's no like, oh, I didn't see that coming. Oh, that is so cool. Oh, well, no. There's no surprises whatsoever. So for that reason, I give the writing I thought I gave it a lower score. I gave it 11 out of 20. So as I'm ranting, I feel it deserves a lower score. But here we are, 11 out of 20. Moving on. The overall takeaway of the movie. I think I understand. I'm going to reveal the score for the takeaway. Takeaway is 3 out of 20. The writing of the movie was 11 out of 20. Flip that. The writing should have been 3. The overall takeaway should be 11. The takeaway of the movie isn't the worst thing in the world. Like I said, it's a cookie cutter, low budget action movie that has no emotional stakes, and people just kind of do stuff. It has very little moral teaching. It has very little guidance. There's very little to learn from this. But if all you're looking for is just a turn your brain off at the door, and just eat some popcorn, sit down with your family, and just watch a really dumb action movie, perfect. It delivers on exactly what it's supposed to do. Which brings me to the last point of effectiveness. How effective was this movie? I think the creators, the directors, the producers, I think they wanted to create something a little bit more maybe poignant. Maybe I'm putting words in people's mouths. Maybe poignant is too high of a bar to get with this particular film, but I think they knew what they were making. It was a turn your brain off of the door kind of action film. They knew it was low budget. They knew they wanted to have, a couple big stars to bring people in, which they got. It did kind of what they needed it to do. They need a high profile movie for Netflix to, continue to rein people in. The action wasn't entirely terrible. It wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible. I've seen much worse. It was okay. It was fine. And they just needed a vehicle to, tide people over for a little while. We're in a dry spell. And of course, this is the kind of movie that's been on the books long before COVID happened. So they were planning this before, but it did what they needed it to do. It did what they wanted it to do, and if you're just looking to kill a few hours, if you have nothing else to watch, yeah, go ahead and put it on. It's a good turn your brain off the door kind of movie, and for that reason, I'm actually going to give effectiveness a high score. I'm giving effectiveness 18 out of 20. So let's add all of those numbers up together, and this is the final score for Project Power.
Fasten your seatbelts. It's going to be a bumpy night.
All right, you guys, that is my official score. I'm giving Project Power a 50 out of 100. That's right, a 50%. It could have been better. It wasn't the worst thing in the world. It was far from great. I think that it, like I said, it could have had other places to go. I didn't love it. I don't ever need to watch this again. When my girlfriend found out that I watched the movie without her, she was like, "Oh, I wanted to watch that with you." And I was like, No, you don't. You're good. You don't need to watch this movie. Anyway, guys, have you seen Project Power? Do you have a different take on it? Do you think it's better than I'm giving it credit for, or do you actually think that it's worse? Let me know in the comment section below. Go ahead and jump on down. Let's have a conversation about it. Anyway, guys, that does it for this review of Project Power. And right about now, it is time to open up that Gotta Love Them Movies mailbag. All right, you guys, it is time to open up the Gotta Love Them Movies mailbag. And our first email, before we open up the first email, if you want to send an email in yourself to Gotta Love Them Movies, all you have to do is send us an email at GottaLoveThemMovies@gmail.com. By doing that, you will send your questions, your thoughts, your comments in advance, and I can prepare better answers for you and make them a main topic of the show. Send us an email. We'll make it a main topic of the show. Why not? So anyway, having said that, let's go ahead and open the first email of the day. And the first email of the day comes to us from Roberto in New Jersey. He says, "Hey, Miguel." Well, hello, Roberto. Thank you so much for joining us. So what do you think the future of 3D So what do you think the future of 3D technology is? What do you think is the future of 3D technology in films? I was just on the Real D 3D website, and the list of 3D movies coming out is very low. Also, there is no Avatar 2 listed. I love 3D movies, so this makes me sad. Well, Roberto, thank you so much for sending in that email. And in your email, you sent me the link to the Real D 3D website. So let's pull it up. This actually isn't the Real D 3D website. This actually comes to us from pro.boxoffice.com. And here they have listed, it's a 3D release calendar of the movies that they know of that are going to be coming out in 3D later this year, next year, and also in 2022. I guess also 2023. But let's just kind of go down the calendar real quick. So the movies that Real D 3D has they're preparing for, first of all, on October 2nd, we have Wonder Woman 84. And then we have Soul coming out in November. And then we have Dune coming out in December 18th. And then The Croods 2. Why The Croods 2 needs a 3D release just before Christmas, I have no idea. Moving on to 2021, we have The Eternals coming out in 3D. We have Raya and the Last Dragon, which, if you are unfamiliar with Raya in the Last... Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought I brought this up. Hold on one second. Where's this... Oh, I'm so sorry, guys. Bear with me. I totally thought that I had this the card. There we go. Okay, now you know what it is that I'm talking about. Okay, so as I move this down. Great, awesome. My apologies. Okay, so here we are on the web browser. Yes. So this is pro.boxoffice.com. They have an entire listing of all the different movies coming out in 3D this year, next year, and years to come. Wonder Woman 84, Soul, Dune, The Croods. Next year, we have The Eternals, Raya and the Last Dragon, which, if you have not seen Raya and the Last Dragon, it's a Disney movie coming out. It's an animated. It sounds really cool. I've heard really cool things about it coming out of CinemaCon in Vegas from last year. They had some really cool things to say about it. Apparently, the teaser clip that they showed at CinemaCon last year was boffo. I would very much like to see that. Anyway, going back to here, Godzilla vs. Kong. Vivo is a movie by Sony that I know nothing about. And then two Pixar movies. 2022, we also have 2 Pixar movies slated. And then in 2023, we have an untitled Star Wars film. It says Untitled Star Wars 1. Let's click on this. Let's see what happens. Let's see what this brings up. Yeah, no information about that whatsoever. Anyway, you guys, it is interesting to me that Avatar is strangely absent from this list. Avatar 2. Avatar was slated for next year, and in fact, I think it still is slated for next year. James Cameron pioneering a brand new 3D technology. Genius, absolutely genius with Avatar, the original back in 2009, and who knows what he's going to do with it for this upcoming Avatar film. We can only assume that it's going to be bigger and better. We can only assume it's going to be incredible. I actually have no idea what's why that isn't on the slate. But addressing your question. Where did we go? There we go. Roberto, about the future of 3D technology in films. I mean, if that list is any indication, it's that 3D movies are losing their interest in audiences. The 3D technology for Avatar was revolutionary because the film was written around a new technology. So James Cameron created a brand new technology. He wrote the film to specifically incorporate 3D into the movie, and then they made the movie using that technology in a very specific way to present it to the audience in the way that it was meant. Other films, pretty much every other film. I can't speak for every single film out there, but the vast majority, if not all of them, are converted into 3D. So whenever we're, at the movie theater, like Wonder Woman 84 is not being shot in 3D. It's being shot in 2D. And then using 3D technology, they extrapolate certain things, the way the camera lenses work. They're able to, pick up on distance and things like that. Foreground, background within the camera itself as it's recording. So then they take that technology and they, pull the image apart. And that's where we get that 3D effect from. But that's not how James Cameron originally created the 2009 version of like the Avatar 3D stuff that we're, kind of hyped up over. So when an audience is not getting the genuine experience of 3D, they know it. You can feel it. You can feel, oh, okay, well, it's a gimmick. It's a gimmick, right? And also for someone who wears glasses, wearing those 3D glasses over my real glasses is kind of cumbersome. It's not the most enjoyable thing for me, especially now that AMC Theaters has developed the Dolby surround sound theater. That is my personal favorite movie theater in the world. I love that theater specifically for the screen, for the seats, and for the sound. Not necessarily in that order. Probably. I don't know. Maybe just jam them all together. It doesn't matter the order. I love the AMC Dolby Theater. It's brilliant. It's comfortable. It's relaxing. It's the best movie-going experience I've ever had. So if you want me to sit in another theater in like the uncomfortable seats and wear 3D glasses that are constantly slipping off, and throughout the movie I have to put them on, to a 3D film that doesn't even work that well for a movie that wasn't meant to be in 3D, it's a little annoying. And the audience can see straight through that. It's a gimmick. It's a money-making gimmick. It's, it's the same movie with a slightly different experience on top of it. 3D is not something that personally interests me. It just doesn't. For many people, it is not an experience that interests a lot of people, as I tend to be redundant. I know that there are some people that still get a kick out of the 3D experience. It's something, or even the 4D experience. Regal Cinemas have the 4D experience with the seats that kind of, go like this a little bit, and you have a seat belt. You're in a movie theater and you're wearing a seat belt. Save that for Disney World. I don't need a ride when I go to the movies. I don't need water being spit in my face. I don't need wind blowing on me as I'm watching a movie. Let me just watch the movie. That's all. I don't need all this extra stuff. So that's where I'm coming from. You may feel different. I mean, Roberta, you said that you love 3D movies. That's great. That's fantastic. But do I think it's the future of cinema? No. I don't think it's sustainable. I don't think that this particular gimmick is something that the majority of audiences are going to want to see for a sustained period of time. I don't. And I'm sorry to bring you that news, or rather that opinion. I just don't see that happening. I don't see it being that sustainable. Anyway, guys, do you have a different opinion on 3D movies? Do you love 3D movies? Is it something that you crave? Do you go to a movie specifically because it's in 3D? Like we brought up on the web browser here, this year we have Wonder Woman 84, we have Soul, we have Dune, we have The Croods 2 coming out in 3D. Next year we have The Eternals, Raya and the Last Dragon, Godzilla vs. Kong, Vivo, and then a couple of other, we have a Disney and a Pixar film coming out. Do any of these projects look interesting to you? And if they do, are you planning on going to see them in 3D? I will be honest, Dune, if Dune is filmed with the same technology as the original Avatar film, if it is filmed with the same technology as what the new Avatar film is going to have coming out, that could be interesting. It's not going to be a draw to get me to see the film. The director, Denis Villeneuve, he is the draw to get me to see that movie. It's not going to be the 3D aspect of it. Anyway, guys, do you have a different opinion? Do you have a different take on 3D movies? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Are you somewhere in the middle? Jump down in the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. Okay, guys, with all that down and out of the way, I told you today is a light day. Today is a light news day, and I'm surprised. We've been going for about 15 minutes right now. I'm surprised at how much stuff we've gotten through. So let's just go ahead and jump into the live questions. I'm interested to see what you guys are talking about. And while I bring it up here, boop, boop, ba-doo. Great, awesome. We're just going to jump into the live questions and take your live questions.
Alive! It's alive! It's alive!
All right, guys, it is now time to take those live questions. First on the list, we have Dominique Lundy, who says, it's been a while since I've been able to watch you live. Well, thank you for joining us live, Dominique. It's been a while since we've hung out and chit-chat and talked. So I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad you're able to, offer your 2 cents. And this is what creates the movie community. This is what especially in an online forum. I love having people chime in. I love hearing people's thoughts, their comments. So just keep commenting. Bill Merck says, no, Daniel Craig. Yes. I'm sorry, Bill. I know there's not a big generational gap, but there's a small generational gap between us. And, I don't begrudge anybody their opinions. I don't. If you see Sean Connery as the best Bond of all time, that's great. I mean, you're not alone. There's a lot of people out there that share that same opinion. Some people would say that about Timothy Dalton. Some people say that about Roger Moore. Some people, believe it or not, actually think that George Lazenby was a better Bond than Connery. I think he was okay. I feel that George Lazenby was fine. It was the director. The director did not do that movie any justice. It was too long, first of all. It ended on a weird note. It just ended in a weird note. Like, okay, James Bond gets married, and then immediately afterwards, his wife is gunned down and killed, and then the movie's over. And you're like, wait, hang on. What? Like, you have no time to process that information. And in a sense, it kind of doesn't mean much because you don't get to see the main protagonist, James Bond, deal with that pain. Like, what was it all for? Anyway, we could go on and talk about George Lazenby. I think he was fine. I don't think George Lazenby was terrible. And I also think Sean Connery was quite good. But in my opinion, I feel the way that Daniel Craig portrays the character is the best. I'm sorry. I love you, Bill. But I have to agree to disagree. I feel like you and I agree to disagree on a lot of film stuff anyway. Robbie Spratt says, controversial opinion. Timothy Dalton was the best, quote unquote, all around Bond. I wish he had done more films. Yeah. In fact, are you watching Doom Patrol right now? Because Timothy Dalton plays a huge role in Doom Patrol right now. Season 2, I'm having a little issues with. Season 1, I unabashedly love, except for the last episode. Everything else, I love. What is it, 15 episodes in Season 1? So the first 14 episodes of Season 1, I couldn't get enough. Season 2, I'm having a little of issues with. But, I mean, see, this is what I'm talking about in the subjectivity film. Like, we all come from a different perspective. We all see things differently. And I love what Timothy Dalton did with James Bond in the 80s. Was it in 87? He did The Living Daylights, which I love that film. I would put Living Daylights in maybe my top 5 favorite Bond films. And then License to Kill was... woo! Like, that was an adventure. It almost wasn't a James Bond film. It was kind of its own thing, kind of, in a way. Anyway, Timothy Dalton did some really cool stuff in that, and I love the character that he brought to life that we hadn't seen before. Robbie goes on to say, have you heard the theory that the role of Kincaid in Skyfall, played by Albert Finney, was actually written for Sean Connery? I have not heard this theory, but this is interesting. Personally, I love this idea. I wish Connery hadn't already retired from acting at that point. Well, I mean, like, whether he retired or not, like, I feel like there's always a reason to come out of retirement. And just because you come out of retirement to do a cameo in something doesn't mean that you have to, put your work hat back on. Or, like, I guess this is my work hat. Sorry, my cat is scratching on her post right now. So if you're hearing some crackly sounds, that's what you're hearing. Yeah, you don't have to put your work hat back on just because you come out of retirement to do a cameo. And I think that would have been the perfect role for him. I personally thought at the end of Skyfall, spoilers if you haven't seen the movie Skyfall, after Judi Dench's character M dies, and they reveal who the new M is going to be, which, turns out to be Ray Fiennes. In the theater, I remember exactly who I was sitting next to, and I was like doing the whole elbow thing, and I'm like, oh, I bet it's going to be Sean Connery. Oh, how cool is it going to be if it's Sean Connery? If Sean Connery had spun around in that chair for the big reveal that M is now Sean Connery, that's where my brain was at in the theater at the time. I think that would have been the coolest thing ever. That's me. But again, like, that would also put him, having to do more things. But I love that theory. That the Albert Finney character of Kincaid was written for Bond, or for Sean Connery. I didn't know that. That's really cool. Andy Sarno says, just showing that it's still safe. And big names need to get out there. Oh, sorry, you're referring to Tom Cruise. Yes, he's so referring to Tom Cruise going to the movies, and kind of making a big production of it. Andy Sarno says he is just showing that it's still safe. I agree. And big names need to get out again promoting. I agree. I also, I have an Alamo Drafthouse gift card for 2 that I've been dying to use. Well, if you're looking to give up your Alamo Drafthouse gift card for 2, I can think of 2 people, myself and my girlfriend, that would be happy recipients of such. But I'm not saying that you should get rid of that gift card. Definitely hang on to it, because I feel like the theaters, the cinemas, they all need all of our help and support right now, especially if you feel safe. If you don't feel safe going back to the movies, stay home. By all means, please stay home. But if you feel safe, and if you feel that you can be safe, wear your mask, wash your hand, in that order. Wear your mask, wash your hands, and practice social distancing. If you can't practice social distancing, wear your mask and wash your hands. If you can't wash your hands, wear your mask. In that order, that's how I feel. I feel that that's the best way to keep us safe and to keep everyone around us safe. So yeah, let's just keep doing that. But yeah, I would be very interested to see or to hear back from you, Andy. What movie did you see with your Alamo Drafthouse gift card for 2? Robbie Spratt says the most immersive theater experience I've ever had were seeing Avatar and Tron Legacy in 3D IMAX. Oh, Tron Legacy. I remember the day I saw that in theaters. It was a double feature day for me. I can't remember the movie that I saw before. Was it No Country for Old Men? Were they in theaters at the same time in the same year? I don't remember. I left another theater and then I went to go see Tron Legacy right afterwards, and I adored it. I loved the soundtrack. It was in 2D. I saw it in 2D, and it was all by myself. But oh man, that was an experience. I love Tron Legacy, and I'm so glad that they're currently working on a third film. It hasn't been greenlit yet. They're not in pre-production yet, but they are currently working on a third installment. But yeah, like 3D IMAX, there is something to be said for 3D IMAX. When you're in a theater that huge, like that monstrous theater. And I'm not talking about the fake IMAX, because there's a fake IMAX and then there's a real IMAX. The real IMAX theater feels like you're walking into a gigantic spaceship that like you have no purpose being in. Like when you're in those stadium seats, as you're walking over to your seat, you feel like you're gonna fall over and tumble down all the seats because it's so big, it's so huge, it actually disorientates you a little bit. And then there's the fake IMAX theater that uses a completely different, it's like a digital projection system. It's like a rear projection system it's not the way IMAX is supposed to be viewed. And it's also on what's this, like a, not letterbox, like a 9:16 ratio kind of thing. It's a little bit more like this as opposed to real IMAX, which is this massive jumbo screen. You will know the difference if you walk into a real IMAX as opposed to the fake IMAX. Anyway, just saying. But yeah, Robbie, you are correct. I remember seeing, I think it was The Amazing Spider-Man. Yes, it was The Amazing Spider-Man in 3D in the true IMAX theater. Sorry, I had to think about that for a second. And I was all the way on the edge, on the side, the last seat, just before the aisle. And so, we're looking at the movie, in this direction. And we sat down and I was like, oh no, these are going to be terrible seats. But the theater is so big. The screen is so massive. It kind of didn't even matter. You didn't even notice that you're looking at the movie sideways. And in 3D, it really is an immersive experience. It's really cool. And the last question of the day comes back to us from Robbie Spratt. He says, my opinion is that as streaming movie releases are becoming more common, theaters will need some kind of added value to draw in audiences. That could be 3D, but it could also just be huge screens with amazing sound and picture quality. That's true. I mean, it's no secret movie theaters are hurting right now. They're hurting for content. They're hurting for people. They need to start earning revenue, because if this stuff goes on much longer, everybody's going to have to close their doors for good. And then with no exhibition theaters, the movie theater, the studios are going to close up because they're not going to have anyone to play their movies. And if they just go straight to streaming, we're not going to get the same quality of films. All we're going to get are Project Power type films coming out on Netflix. Anyway, guys, what do you think is some other draws to get people to come out? Maybe it's 3D. Maybe I personally subscribe to just give me a really great picture, give me a clean, comfortable seat. And I think cleanliness is going to be kind of a determining factor moving forward, especially in airplanes. Again, I keep coming back to airplanes because I work on an airplane. My day job, I work as a flight attendant for a major airline. And that's the thing, like everybody's super self-aware, super self-conscious about their surroundings. Like, how clean is this? How safe is this? Has this been cleaned? Has it been sanitized? When I fly, I bring those little Clorox wipes and I wipe everything down. I have bottles of alcohol. Like, I overdo it. I'm also a little crazy and I overdo it, and I completely acknowledge and understand that. Not everybody is at my level of cleanliness, but I think that is definitely going to be something moving forward, especially in a movie theater setting, where you're going to be sitting in this chair for 2 hours, maybe next to your best friend, maybe next to nobody, or, you know, maybe next to a perfect stranger. And I kind of feel like we need certain assurances that we're going to be safe. You know, is this my cup holder or is this my cup holder? Oh, we're going to share this cup holder? Okay, well, I've already touched it. So if you need to put your drink there, like, go, you know, we need certain assurances that we're going to be kept safe and healthy and clean and just have a pleasant viewing experience. For me, that's great sound. That's a great picture. That's why I like the Dolby Theater experience, because their screens are in 4K. I understand that 8K technology is, you know, available and out there, but, you know, AMC already spent, what, $5 billion creating these brand new theaters for everyone. So they're not going to redo now that they're on the verge of closing their doors. So a 4K picture quality is it's perfectly fine by me. Perfectly fine. It's not just perfectly fine. It's great. It's really, really good. Considering most screens are like a 720p resolution anyway. Yeah, I'll take 4K all day, every day. It's a great screen. It's a great picture. Has great sound, great seats. Not every single Dolby theater is created equally. But I will say the AMC theaters on 42nd Street in Times Square here in New York City is one of the best theaters because you can sit front row all the way on the side, and it's a perfectly good seat. Like sometimes you just don't want to sit in the front row because you're looking straight up at the ceiling. Sometimes you don't want to sit all the way in the back. You want to sit right in the middle. There, I can truly, honestly tell you, in the AMC Dolby Theater, 42nd Street, Times Square here in New York City, there is not a bad seat in that theater. There's not a bad seat in that entire theater. It's huge. It's huge. Anyway. So guys, yeah, that is going to do it for us in this installment of Gotta Love Them Movies. We're running at, 66 minutes right now. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for being a part of the community. Thanks for jumping down to the comment section. Thank you for sending me emails. And that's another thing. If a question or if an idea or thought or comment pops up in your daily week, go ahead and send me an email at GottaLoveThemMovies@gmail.com. Let me bring it up for you right here. There it is. GottaLoveThemMovies@gmail.com. If you have an idea, if you have a question, if something just pops up, let me know. Send me an email. Also, this is something we talked about on the show, yesterday? Where is it? Hold on. Where's Toy Tuesdays? What is Toy Tuesdays? Where's the... I have a video card for this. Oh, it doesn't matter. Anyway, so for Toy Tuesdays, we have a toy giveaway. Today's toy giveaway this week's toy giveaway is a pair of Leonardo Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle sunglasses in the style of his blue bandana. You can even see on the back it says Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Both of the arms. So if you want to be considered for a tour for this particular tour for Toy Tuesdays, subscribe to the channel, like and share this video, jump down to the comment section below and write the words Toy Tuesdays. That way I know that you want to be in the running to win an exclusive 2015 Comic-Con giveaway exclusive. Anyway, guys, that is just about gonna do it for me. If you guys like this video, please click like. If you really like this video, click subscribe. And if you really, really like this video, click share, because that is exactly what James Bond and Sean Connery would want you to do. All right, guys, my name is Mike Brown. Thank you so much for joining us, and until next time, ciao.